Hi, Michael James. I do independent research for OSINT. That's kind of where my main focus is. I want to say thank you to all the volunteers, all the sponsors. So I give them a round of applause for everything they kind of put together and stuff. As someone who does a lot with BSidesKC, which is one of the local groups out here, I know what it takes to get a lot of stuff going. So you know, every hour they put in, we truly appreciate this. Also, I just wanted to point out, does anybody see where Johnny Shimpo is one of the sponsors, and also Evil Pork is one of the sponsors? So give it up for them too. So my talk is based in regards to OSINT. OSINT in your world, it's a love story. How many people know what OSINT stands for? About half the room? So OSINT comes from Open Source Intelligence Gathering. You can't really see that at all. Open source meaning almost any source that you can get your hands on that's not a closed circuit. So anything that you have free access to, including dumpster diving, including data dumps, including anything from the dark web to the clear site, Google dorking, all that stuff. And the intelligence side of that is just what we're trying to learn about that specific target. Thank you, sir.
Cheers.
Cheers, yeah. So in regards to this talk, we're going to determine what is kind of used, what they focus on in regards to intelligence gathering, and why this is a love story. The reason I fell in love with OSINT and intel gathering is actually because of Chris Nickerson. Before we even knew that he was going to be the keynote for this, he had a podcast called Exotic Liabilities. One of the things that stuck with me through all the trainings, everything else I've ever done, is that he always said, okay, you can pop a box, you can get shell, you get root, great. What does that mean though? What are the real life applications of what you can do? If you just get admin to a box that does nothing, you have nothing to go through and show that you can damage. You don't have any HIPAA information, there's no card information to go through and steal anything. You've done actually nothing other than waste your own time. OSINT is actually where the cyber and the meat space kind of meet up in regards to real life applications for a lot of that stuff. So I want to go through a couple different things. Data mining versus OSINT. I know data mining and data science is a big thing now because a lot of people are seeing that there's true value in regards to getting data mining applications for marketing and other things. Data mining, for the most part, takes a general or broad or maybe even anonymous look at some of the data that's being collected. OSINT is very, very targeted. You're trying to find out about one instance, one target, one environment, one person, and you're trying to build off of that. In regards to real-life applications for OSINT, it doesn't just live in the information security space. Obviously, it's very well used in regards to vulnerability assessments and penetration tests. The threat hunting, also the blue team side has the ability to go through and use code snippets that you may get from malware to go through and use in VulnHub or any of the other repositories to go through and see what other code's been used so they can timeline it back to go through and actually find out in real life where those people are developing those codes or what groups are latching onto that. There's even been some stuff that was posted to Pastebin where they made a call out to Pastebin in regards to getting malware and stuff and bringing it back. And so that type of stuff provides real life data in regards to where that stuff lives. Governments, businesses, medical professionals, the CDC uses OSINT in regards to outbreaks, kind of timelining it back and going through and using where people were, live camera footage to go through and see who was in that radius that may be exposed to certain things. Journalists and fact checkers should probably use it more. Fake news? No, but it has its roots in regards to investigative journalism as well. One thing that I think a lot of people with OSINT focus don't really look into is the personal aspect, where you can actually look at your own identity on the internet or in your corporate environment. You can actually research yourself and find out what, if anything, are your surface attack vectors. If somebody is, if you are posting constantly in regards to Facebook and other social media things, that may be a way for people to go through and use that in a negative light, which is kind of where we'll get to in some of this stuff. And career development and advancement. If you are looking at a company that you want to get into and you don't research that company, you don't know what their plans are long-term, short-term, and who they're actually working with, be it friendly companies who are in Britain or not so friendly companies in Saudi Arabia, that may be something that you want to look into. Like I said, Blue Team is always going to want to defend. Using OSINT has the ability to go through and kind of help that stuff. I don't know that it's used as much as it should be, and I'm not a Blue Teamer. I know that using honeypots and things like that really can get actionable data in regards to a lot of the stuff and work it back to that. But when they see red shirts and they know they can shut them down, I'm sure it's the greatest feeling in the world. So here's where we get into kind of the dark side of OSINT. Obviously, this is open source information. This isn't something where just the red team, just the blue team is going to go through and do it. I don't know if anyone's heard of something called ransomware. A lot of people are finding it very lucrative to go through and use that and the data that's out there to go through and put ransomware into pictures that they download, files, clicks, links, anything like that or whatever. And it's one of those things where they can use that open source intelligence to go through and to make it to where you no longer have your files. Red team loves to win. Obviously, with using OSINT and things like that, we can create a platform and have real-time actionable intelligence to go through and actually stop or create whatever we want in regards to the win. So be that pre-texting, be that phishing campaigns, be that anything else that that person is going to subscribe to. So let's get into a couple of examples of those. Social engineering and the intelligence that you're using, obviously, like I said, I don't know if you've ever seen these things on Twitter where it's, let's play your hacker name game. What's the color of your shirt and your email address? Or something that gets a little bit better. I'm going to post my badge online because I just got this new job as a medical investigation professional. Just with that stuff there, we know that obviously where she works, what she does, what sort of qualifications she has. So in making anything in regards to a phishing campaign or an identity theft, or even just using that badge in itself to go through and impersonate a person under her staff, to go through and to gain access, and no one's going to question a medical investigator. It doesn't matter where you are. That's a cool job. So this is the golden age of social media, and obviously you can go through and do your own data mining and you can filter your own things, and you can see what people may enjoy just like you do. These two happen to be current security employees who enjoy porn films that work for Netflix or for Facebook as well. So not only is this something where you can go through and leverage that to go through and say, okay, well, I'm going to go through and embed malware into a stenograph photo and send that over to them and maybe own their machine that way. But it's this type of information that you can take and really pin down or profile via OSINT there. And that may be just on the corporate side. So if that is your target, if you're looking to go through and actually profile individuals inside your target environment that you're trying to gain access to, then getting to the people may be one thing that you can actually try to get into. But a lot of people will still go through and post this type of information online on a public forum such as Twitter, where you have your visa, and then you ask, why is everyone asking what back three numbers are in the code there? I don't understand. So that type of stuff, obviously, even if we didn't use this as a malicious attack to go through and just try to use our debit card, we know that this person here has a trusted brand that they go through and use. So if we were to call her or send her an email or do anything as the guise of Visa security or something like that, we've already approached her in a manner where she knows that's a valid company that she's done business with and we're in. So this is just stupid. This is just something where I actually saw this on Twitter, and the guy's post was, You know, if your woman's not asking for your money and your credit history, then you know you're no good to her or whatever. So if you're posting your social security number and your credit cards and stuff online, I mean, in regards to ID theft alone, this just reeks stupidity to me, which is something we have to go through and try to change. So now that we have the data, what do we do with it? We're able to go through and to collect all this open source intelligence here, and it depends on what you're actually trying to do. What's your main objective in regards to this? So if you're looking as a personal security, you get your own data and you see what is able to be locked in and locked down. You know where you can go through and you can delete or opt out of things like FamilyTreeNow.com, which gives your complete genealogy and I think 2 or 3 degrees of contacts beyond that. So it has your family and then their family and then people from there.
Known addresses.
Known addresses, telephone numbers, email addresses, and that's a free site. This isn't anything that like private investigators use like LexisNexis or anything else like that. That's something where you can take on lunch break and be like, oh, what's your name? Okay. Oh, and your mother and your dad is this and that. Okay. So there are opt-outs to those things, but a lot of that stuff isn't as known there. So once you have an idea of what you want to do, whether it be a red team investigation or a blue team defense stance, you can take the information that you've gathered and then you can apply rules in regards to what your code of conduct for your employees are. You can do advanced Google dorking or Google searching to go through and see what other opportunities are out there to go through and block or to input more data out there to go through and confuse the situation. You can actually do disinformation campaigns to go through and actually put more information out there that will say, no, I actually live at this address as opposed to this one. So when you get that back in a marketing company or an attacker says, okay, well, I'm contacting you because you live in this area. You know at that point that are obviously picking up that trail and they're trying to use it against you. So in regards to other tools that we use, in regards to mostly the red team side, but this works for some of the blue team stuff as well. There is a couple different specific tools. Maltego is amazing. I don't know if anybody has had an opportunity to work with Maltego. Anybody know what Maltego is? So Maltego is an open source reconnaissance tool. I should say, it is open source. It has a community edition that gives you, I think, up to 12 links per search, which is not a lot considering it can be up over 5,000 per search depending on what you're doing. The beautiful thing about Maltego is if you have to present it to anybody, it puts it in a very, very visual form. It puts it in a grid that is very, very pretty to look at. And anybody can follow the through line. So if you have to give this to a C-level person, if you have to give this to a class, if you're training the elderly in regards to this stuff, and I'm not being funny in regards to that stuff because I think they suffer the most in regards to a lot of this stuff. There is the OSINT framework that was created by Justin Nordine, and essentially it's a mind map with a lot of the links out there for public data. It has some stuff for malware analysis. It has a lot of information in regards to personal detection, not so much in regards to the business stuff, but it does have some of the stuff in the business. Shodan, has anybody ever heard of Shodan? Shodan's a good tool. There's a lot of funny stuff on Shodan. So Shodan is a search engine essentially for webcams, for anything that's attached to the internet. It's not the Internet of Things, there's another thing for that, but this if you have a webcam or a web service that's watching your pets or something like that, and it's not locked down, it will be registered through Shodan, and they can view live at the time, whatever, in regards to what's happening. And if you follow Vis, at Vis, or Dan Tindley, I think, I forget his last name, but he's done some amazing stuff with Shodan, and it's very funny. There's a couple other things in regards to the face profiles. So there's a tool out there called Tinder Face Scraper. So it takes essentially anything that you post on Tinder and it will map the face, and then you can do facial recognition from there in regards to other things. There's another tool called FaceFinder Pro, which is a good open source tool. They do, I shouldn't say open source. It was an open source project and now they're selling part of it. They have a community edition, they have a pro edition. The pro edition is very nice because even if you get into it, it's $50 for free to try it out, so it's kind of fun. There's another tool that a lot of people use called Stock Scan, which is specifically for Facebook. A lot of the stuff that maybe you thought was private photos and things like that, this has the ability, once you get the Facebook user ID and put it in there, it will pull all the content. So it'll pull all your likes, all your interests, all your photos, anything that's not expressly marked private in regards to a lot of that stuff. So that, in regards to profiling, detailing for social engineering, is a lot of fun. I shouldn't say fun, because so if you are looking at a corporate environment, has anyone ever heard of, on LinkedIn, there's someone who, there's a group of people called Lions. Anyone ever heard of the LinkedIn Lions? Yes? And Ben is the only person shaking his head all the time. So the Lions is LinkedIn Open Networkers. Essentially, these are people that make OSINT so much more interesting. They take any request for LinkedIn, and they'll say, I'll add you to my network. And then that person has 500,000, 10,000 different contacts inside them. So with a tool called the Endorser, you can actually go through and take their profile, and it will map out all of their contacts. If you marry the Endorser with another tool like Kingfisher or something else that's a phishing campaign, it automates it, you can get some real havoc in regards to that stuff. And it's all from them wanting to go through and be this lion status in regards to it. So it has a lot of potential to do a lot of damage, which again is what we are trying to go through and make aware to people. The more that you post on there without the regulation of certain information just gives more surface or attack vector to social engineers, and specifically social engineering. So like I said, when you have the data, with the blue team side, you're obviously going to make sure that every ounce of information that you can gather in regards to any incident response or any attack, anything else that's going on, like they were talking about in the kill chain earlier, you can try to deny everything, but placing it back to a source, especially in the physical space, makes it a little bit easier for regulators, for government officials, for law enforcement to go through and actually act in regards to that stuff. Red team, like I said, red team's just going to win. Deal with it. In regards to personal security and stuff, I think a lot of people can take away a lot of value in regards to, you know, if you want to call it Googling yourself, you can call it Googling yourself, but active research in regards to who you are online, offline, in regards to your credit, your banking. I don't know if anyone else has ever used the site haveibenpwned.com. So I have several email addresses. And I've been pwned a significant amount in regards to that stuff. But one of my email addresses only has three different pwnage things on there. But going in there and making sure that you know the data, making sure that you're aware of what's going on, knowing when the breaches happen so that you can react, because it's going to happen. Obviously, we're at a conference in regards to security, and we know security is not a closed system at this time. So things are going to happen. Data is going to leak. Breaches are going to be happening every, 15, 20 seconds or something like that. It's more important to go through and get that information and act on it than have someone try to hide it and not go through and disclose that stuff. So also in regards to the corporate environments, if it's something where you can go through and you can test or monitor or just make sure that you are not releasing sensitive information in regards to what your badge looks like, in regards to security for the doors. So if I was a social engineer and I was trying to get on-site for impersonation, I don't know what the layout is, because that makes it a lot easier for someone to get inside and be like, oh, I'm going to go to the breaker, or I'm going to go to the bathroom, or I'm going to set up this RFID scanner here and get everybody to pass down this hallway. So some people that have been doing some amazing, truly amazing things in regards to OSINT. Anyone ever heard of Bellingcat? They call themselves an OSINT research. They're essentially investigator journalists that operate out of England, and they do a lot of real-time investigation via OSINT with very heavy stuff. War crimes, Syria. They debunked the North Korea nuclear missile thing just by looking at a photo of it and comparing it to other information that they had. The Slack channel, Open OSINT right here, has some awesome resources and very big heavy hitters in regards to OSINT. Has anyone ever heard of Michael Basil, who does open source intel techniques? He trains government people how to go through and not be stupid online. He's got a podcast called Privacy and Complete Security. It's really good.
Did he make a book?
Yeah, he is. I think he's coming out with his 5th edition of the book. So his stuff is really good. Justin Sykes, automatingosint.com. He also wrote Gray Hat Hacker and Black Hat Hacker for Python. Very good. He's also on there. Beowulf, I forget what his last, Beowulf is on there as well, and I'm gonna have to look it up because I know he's gonna be mad at me, especially when he sees this talking and sees me stuff like that. But he's doing some amazing stuff with Facebook and actually working back in regards to what groups of people have been signed up from what universities and what your actual Facebook ID is. So if it starts with a 100 or 200, he can tell you specifically what college you logged in from. And like I said, it's open.osint@.slack. If anybody else wants to go through and check that out, it's a good group. There's a ton of people. Like I said, Justin Nordine does the open source framework. Dutch OSINT guy is also on Twitter. There's a ton of people on there. I didn't list all this stuff out because I didn't want anybody else just to go through and take a photo of it. If you're going to look up these people, I feel like you should have to do the research. So, but also SecKC, this is the local group out here. If you have any questions or if anybody wants to attend a meeting or anything else like that, obviously we have information monthly in regards to a wide range of topics. Being a 20-minute talk, this is very difficult to get into specifics with a lot of stuff. But I hope that at least some of the stuff that you guys didn't know about, maybe you have a little bit more clarity in regards to. If there's something that you have any questions about, you're always welcome to come ask me. I have all the time in the world to talk about OSINT. Automating searches, there are a lot of tools like Recon NG and Kali, Maltego, the Harvester, some of the other stuff out there. So a lot of people are producing tools for reconnaissance work. A lot of that stuff is more based on the corporate side, and it's usually a GUI overlay for like Python construction and stuff like that. But there will be more tools, a lot of Python, a lot of Go, automating the searches and stuff like that, especially with all the API hooks and things that we're getting with Twitter, social media, with all these other sites that are just dumping information out there. So eventually automation of the searches will be ubiquitous, and it won't be something where you gotta Google everybody or white page list and all that stuff, but that's something that will happen in the future, I fully believe. Matchlight is one of the things I did want to put up here. Matchlight is a service that actually, if you sign up for, will go through and monitor the dark web in regards to any hits for your stuff. So if there is any breaches or anything that's out there, if there's any forums or anything that are using your personal identification, Matchlight is a free service, and they will go through and monitor you. I don't think they give you a lot of where the information is back, but they will tell you what was compromised so that you can take the appropriate courses and you can kind of pivot in regards to that stuff. And then I kind of wanted to leave you in regards to these last couple of statements here. You know, what is the true cost of a data breach? I don't think anyone's really found out what the true cost of all this stuff is. Because you have my email, because you have my address, because you have all that stuff, people may just put that off and say, you know what, it's already out there, no big deal. If you don't change your password, shame on you. But eventually, with these data breaches, it's going to become something that will impact you down the line, either through identity theft, or your inability to go through and log into something, or eventually something to where you're not trusted. And if you're not trusted online and you can't log into something, that may have a future cost. So think about the ripple effect in regards to the true cost of data breaches and all that stuff. How do we protect against OSINT and things like this in the future? It really takes consideration from you. What you post online and what you put out there in regards to your own privacy concerns is something that can come back and bite you in the ass. But at the same time, we are human and we like to go through and share things. We like to go through and click, and there's a good feeling you get when something's liked or you get a heart or something else like that. I've been posting pictures all day from, you know, BSidesKC, whatever, but if you go back through my stuff, I'm not telling you, you know, personal details in regards to who I am. I still want to share socially, But at that point or whatever, unless you're going to dip into the metadata and try to find out like exactly what type of phone that I have, where the geolocation thing is, which is turned off, where all my other stuff, you know, it's one of those things you have to be kind of cognizant of how you approach the web. In regards to trainings, training is one of those things that, like Dickerson said, like anyone else has said, is really the only way that we kind of fight these things, because if you don't have the education, then you can't really stop this stuff. And eventually, like I said, all of our moms and dads are going to grow up and they're all going to become seniors, and the technology in 10 years is going to be way different from it is now. They won't be able to know how to use their Y-phone because it won't be an iPhone anymore. And they're going to be the ones who are looking at the other side of a phone call from an IRS scam or something like that. And if we can go through and help train them now, we can prevent some of that stuff maybe in the future. And that's really what this talk is kind of all about. So I will leave you with that. Oh, yeah.